The Department of Health and Human Services mandating all 25,000 healthcare workers to get the vaccine. That makes it the third federal agency to mandate the shot. About 500,000 Americans getting the jab a day, back to where it was in June. And for those still hesitant, the White House and health leaders are teaming up with influencers, such as TikTok stars. And a new bill in Oregon allows high school students to graduate without proving they can read, write, or do math. The governor quietly signed the bill into law last month. Tune into Deep Dive as we explore these topics and more. Hello and welcome. This is Deep Dive and I'm Tiffany Meier. Let's begin with shifting electoral seats. The Census Bureau is set to release population data used to draw congressional and state legislative district lines Thursday. It comes more than 4 months later than usual. Some states are already past their deadlines to draw new maps. That means many will have to hold special sessions in the fall, focused on redistricting instead of handling it in the spring as usual. Virginia and New Jersey plan to use existing maps for state elections in November. Census officials blame the COVID pandemic for delaying the release of neighborhood-level data. It is expected to show population growth in the U.S. has been driven entirely by minorities over the past decade. The Census Bureau already released data in April showing which states will gain and lose congressional seats. Texas is set to gain 2 House seats, while Florida, North Carolina, Oregon, Colorado, and Montana gain 1. 7 states will lose a seat. The 7 are California, Illinois, Michigan, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. They have to wait till the next census in 10 years to see if they win back seats. California lost a House seat for the first time in its 170-year history. California is still the most populous state by far, but it's growing more slowly than other states. New York also lost a seat. It was shy by just 89 residents. The census data means there are some shakeups in the Electoral College and House of Representatives. The 435 House seats are distributed among the states based on population. That impacts the number of electoral votes each state gets as well. Every state uses the census data to redraw lines both for districts and state seats. The process is known as redistricting. Now, speaking of changes, let's briefly touch on what's happening in Afghanistan. As the Taliban continue to advance rapidly across Afghanistan, there is a real fear among the population that nothing can be done. The United Nations says nearly 390,000 people have been newly displaced in Afghanistan due to the ongoing conflict. According to the UN's Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, tens of thousands of people have fled the conflict in the last weeks and are in urgent need of assistance. Most of them are heading to Kabul or other large cities as the Taliban offenses continues across the country. The organization adds that around a third of the $1.3 billion humanitarian response plan for Afghanistan has been funded so far. Turning back to the U.S., let's talk about the changing vaccine mandate landscape. The Department of Health and Human Services is now the third federal agency to require its employees to receive the vaccine, joining the Department of Veterans Affairs and the Department of Defense. All 25,000 healthcare workers are now required to get the shot. On the flip side, it's 3 to 1. One airline, United, is requiring every employee to get vaccinated, but Delta, American, and Southwest won't be implementing a COVID-19 vaccine mandate. Delta says 75% of its workforce is already vaccinated, even without a company-wide mandate. Southwest CEO says they are still strongly encouraging workers to get vaccinated. Same for American, which is also offering people an extra vacation day next year if they get vaccinated by the end of the month. And vaccinations have gone up. About 500,000 Americans are getting the jab a day, back to where it was in June. And 22 states have fully vaccinated more than half of their residents. Many now wondering if booster shots are next. The FDA working with Pfizer and Moderna today on getting the third booster shot authorized for the immunocompromised. The CDC estimates about 9 million Americans are immunocompromised. That's as concerns are rising that the vaccine's efficacy is waning over time. The Mayo Clinic released preliminary findings. That means it hasn't been peer-reviewed yet. Those findings note Pfizer and Moderna vaccines aren't providing as much coverage against the virus after the Delta variant. Pfizer also issued a study noting the efficacy waned every 2 months, falling by 6 efficacy points on average. The UK and Israel also issued studies with similar findings. This comes as Moderna is echoing Pfizer's calls for booster shots. And Europe's drug regulators are studying possible side effects reported in some people after they got vaccinated against the virus. All 4 major vaccines are under the microscope: Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, and Johnson & Johnson. Shares in Moderna and Pfizer sank on Wednesday after the European Union drug regulator said it was looking into possible new side effects of the company's COVID-19 vaccines. That includes kidney inflammation, an allergic skin reaction, and a renal disorder with heavy protein loss in urine. Pfizer is by far the biggest supplier of COVID-19 vaccines to the European Union, issuing just over 330 million doses in the region compared to some 43 million from Moderna. Both companies did not immediately respond to requests for comment. The European Medicines Agency has not recommended any changes to the vaccine labels. It says the latest assessment is part of routine updates to the safety section of the authorized vaccines database. It's also looking into menstrual disorders as a possible side effect of vaccines, including those from AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson. Last month, the EMA found a possible link between very rare heart inflammation and Pfizer and Moderna's vaccines, which use mRNA technology. The watchdog did not give details on Wednesday on how many cases of the new side effects were recorded, but said it's requested more data from both companies. And there's been questions about whether pregnant women should get the shot. The CDC says the answer is yes. The agency previously said, quote, if you are pregnant, you can receive a COVID-19 vaccine. The change is based on new data about the safety of the vaccines. Health officials say they are not seeing vaccine safety concerns regarding pregnancy. And in the push to get those still hesitant to get the shot, the White House and health leaders rolling out a new approach, teaming up with influencers. The White House is adopting a new method to promote COVID-19 vaccination among young people, Gen Z TikTok influencers. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki giving details about the initiative on Tuesday after an email about the effort was leaked online.
Today, Dr. Fauci is doing 5 Q&A conversations on Instagram and TikTok with millennial, mom influencers and Gen Z influencers.
Psaki added that throughout August, Fauci will do weekly Q&As with notable influencers to boost vaccination rates. Newsmax host Benny Johnson Tuesday morning shared a confidential email sent to TikTok influencers on behalf of the White House. The email implored influencers to do an intimate Zoom call with Fauci to educate youth as young as 12 about the vaccine. Many on board. According to the New York Times, state and local governments are employing similar campaigns, in some cases paying local micro-influencers up to $1,000 a month to promote COVID vaccines to their fans. According to the Associated Press, health authorities in Chicago, Oklahoma City, San Jose, California, New Jersey, and elsewhere are running similar campaigns. And according to the CDC, fewer than half of Americans aged 18 to 39 are fully vaccinated. 71% of Americans over the age of 18 are at least partially vaccinated. That's compared to about 42% of teens aged 12 to 17 who have received at least one shot. That's the lowest vaccination rate of any eligible group in the country. This comes as schools struggle to figure out the best rules as kids head back to the classroom. Some states, such as Florida and Texas, standing firm against mask mandates. And California becomes the first state to require all school teachers and staff members to be vaccinated or submit to weekly tests. That's under a new order by the state's governor. Now, speaking of schools, a new bill in Oregon allows high school students to graduate without proving they can read, write, or do math. Oregon Governor Kate Brown has quietly signed the bill into law last month, but her office did not announce the signing. In addition, the Oregonian reported that the move wasn't entered into the legislative database for about 2 weeks, and that people who signed up for alerts about the bill never received one. An aide to the governor told the paper that suspending the proficiency requirements for graduation would benefit Oregon students of color. The bill suspends the requirements while the state's Department of Education conducts a review. The department's been told to keep an equitable approach in recommending changes to the proficiencies needed for a high school diploma, as well as identify the causes of graduation disparities and whether the requirements have been applied inequitably to different student populations. Critics have likened initiatives such as these to critical race theory and say it puts low expectations on people of color. And before we end, it's time to go retro. It's National Vinyl Records Day. For those not in the habit of listening to records, there's plenty of ways to celebrate today. Maybe there's a record player and records hidden in the attic or basement. If so, hook it up and spin some tunes. While records left the music industry mainstream decades ago, they are making a comeback among audiophiles. Some top artists have been releasing their albums on vinyl in recent years. And another way to celebrate, visit the local record store. Those celebrating are encouraged to post photos to the social media hashtag Vinyl Record Day. But what do you think? Let me know below. Thanks for tuning in to Deep Dive. I'm Tiffany Meier, and see you soon.